Look, if you're going to tell me all about this, I think it would be best if you began at the beginning.
It all started about 2 years ago. I was rather hard up and I wanted to get married. I'd been losing money on the horses as well. I met a man in a restaurant. He seemed a fairly ordinary, suburban sort of city man. We got talking. He seemed very interested in my job at Pym's.
I believe I know him.
I mentioned that I was involved with the Newtracks account. He listened for a bit, and then he asked me if I'd like to make an extra 1,000 a year.
Tempting offer.
In the state I was in. It all sounded very innocent. I mean, it didn't sound criminal. He said that if I let him know every Tuesday the initial of the Newtracks headline for the following Friday, I would be very well paid for it.
Didn't you ask him what he was paying for?
Yes, of course. He said that he was fond of having a bet on one thing or another with some friends of his. His idea was to bet on the initial of the headline.
I see. So he would be betting on a certainty as often as he liked. Not actually criminal, but dirty enough to require secrecy. And you fell for it.
Yes. We arranged a code. I sent him a letter.
Yes, I know about that.
I fell for it. There's really no excuse. I was damned hard up. I suppose I ought to have guessed that there was more to it than that.
But you didn't want to guess.
Perhaps not.
And then somehow Victor Dean found out.
First of all, he wanted 50-50, and then he demanded more. If he'd split on me, I would have lost my job as well as the other money. My wife was going to have a baby, and I was behind with my tax, and...
And then there was the Vavasor girl.
And I got mixed up with Ethel. One day, I decided I couldn't stick it any longer. I told him I was going to chuck the whole show, and he could do as he damn well pleased.
And then he told you what it was all about. Dope.
He said that I could very easily get 12 years penal servitude for helping to run the dope traffic.
Dirty, very dirty. Did it ever occur to you to turn King's evidence and give the whole game away?
Yes. You know, well, I was terrified. I couldn't think properly. But I told him that that was what I was going to do. He said he'd get his shot in first and write to Pym that very day. I begged him to hold off for a week or two while I thought things over. Well, I thought things over.
And you decided that Victor Dean was a wart and the world would be a better place without him.
One day, I saw Miss Rossiter with Ginger Joe. She'd caught him playing with a catapult, so she confiscated it and put it in the drawer of her desk. I'm a good shot with any kind of a missile. I realized how easily a man could be plugged through the skylight as he was going down the iron staircase. If the blow didn't kill him, then the fall might. Anyway, it was worth a try. I pinched the catapult from Miss Rossiter's desk during one lunch hour, and during the next few days, I tried some practice shots. Then, one fine, bright day, when all the skylights were open, I rang up Dean on my telephone, pretended I was ringing for Mr. Armstrong in the conference room, told him to bring down some copy and the Times Atlas. While he was looking for the atlas, I slipped into his room and pinched the scarab that he always kept on his desk there. If anybody found it afterwards, they would naturally assume that it had tumbled from his pocket as he fell. Then I went up onto the roof and I waited. And when I saw him, I stayed on the roof until all the fuss had died away, and then I came quietly down the stairs. They asked me for a shilling for the little swine's wreath. And then you came along. You started talking about catapults. I got badly frightened.
And then one night outside this flat, you tried to dispose of me.
I've made an awful mess of everything. Whimsy, how much of this has got to come out? Oh, everything, I suppose. Even the Vavasour girl?
I don't know. You didn't fall for my impressive arrest, I take it.
Oh, yes, I did. I believed in it implicitly. I offered up the most heartfelt thanksgivings. I thought I'd got off.
Then what brought you round here tonight?
Miss Meatyard.
Ah, yes, of course.
Dean had tried to blackmail her once over some man or another. There wasn't much to it, or so she said. But if Pym had found out, he would have been down on her like a sledgehammer. Whimsy, I've been in torment. Why haven't I been arrested before this?
They've been waiting. You see, you are not really as important as this dope gang.
Yes. Yes, I do see. I've been a tethered kid left here to trap the tigers. When?
Tonight.
Whimsy, you've been decent to me. Tell me, is there no way out of this? It's not for myself exactly, but for my wife and child. Pointed at all their lives. That would be damnable. You couldn't give me 24 hours.
You'd never get past the ports.
If I were alone, I would give myself up. I honestly would.
Even knowing that you would hang?
Yes.
There is another alternative.
Oh, yes, I had thought of that. I suppose it is a possibility. It would be the public school way out of it.
No, that's not what I meant. What I had in mind would not do a great deal for you. In fact, it wouldn't save you. But it would do quite a lot for your wife and child.
How?
They never need know anything about all this. In fact, nobody need ever know anything about all this, if you do as I tell you.
I'll do anything, tell me.
And go home now, on foot. And don't look behind you.
Yes. Yes, I think I understand.
Quickly, then.
Thank you. Good night.